over. Not out.
Good evening, folks. What is doing BJ on Game Day round 3 review, round 4 preview? It's a round 3 review.
All right, mate. I was keep going. Start off well.
You got
as usual.
Brent, Joshy, and Bogan back again as always. We're flying. King, how are you, mate?
Mate, sensational. Really, no, actually, that's a lie. I'm about to do one of these fucking man challenges again. But anyway, mate, yeah, not too bad for a Tuesday night, buddy.
Yeah, look how good the footy's back. There's plenty happening, and it wasn't small. We had the rule change, which has obviously changed the game a bit. Plenty of good games of footy on, and plenty of controversy. Obviously, teamless today, so we'll get into it. But
hang on, I'm turning my volume off.
We're back. Sorry. Froze up for a bit there, fellas.
Hello, everyone that is tuning in to watch us. Thanks for joining us. We'll try and keep an eye on the chat. We're going to get fed about Hampton this week. Joshy called him a trap last week. Obviously, he had a couple of strollovers on the weekend, but he did play the Titans, so you can all jam it up yourselves. But I think first up, Bogan, we got some footage of Shano. Dewey, myself, and him had a bit of a bet on the Knights Panthers game. Obviously, that was a cracker, but I'm going to roll a bit of footage.
So what was the bet, Hampton?
Yeah, because this happened off air.
Yeah, so Shano messaged me. We teed it up in I think it'd been the live last week. He said he'd get in contact with me, so he jumped on Messenger and basically just had a head-to-head bet on the Knights Panthers game. He's a big Penny Panthers fan, old Shano, and at first we were just going to put a head-to-head bet on it. Weren't sure what to put on it. He was actually throwing up to shave an eyebrow. And I thought,
you can't go to work with it shaved eyebrow.
Well, and I think the missus wants to get some family photos once this baby's born, so she would have shot me if I had ended up with no eyebrow. And lucky we did, because we've ended up just doing a shoey, and because it was a draw, we've both done it. So up for a shoey.
So normally under a draw, mate, we'd pike out and we'd move away from it. But you boys are going to do the shoey each?
Yeah, we're going to go through with it.
It's fucking Homer and Ned Flanders rules, where it's not the team that loses, the team that doesn't win.
Fair enough. Yeah, mate. But I tell you what a game it was. The Knights, mate, Jesus, plenty of bottle about them. They actually play quite well. Obviously, considering the injuries early and the lack of manpower there, they are very, very impressive.
Yeah, and obviously the debutants, we'd heard a lot about it. There was three debutants in the side, and Bradman Best is only playing his second or third game or something. So yeah, pretty starchy from the boys. Pretty happy with that. Could have won it, could have lost it. Probably happy to come away with 1 point in the end. I think it would have been a bit rough if either side sort of didn't come away with something there. I'm still a bit of a fan of the draw, to be honest. But anyway, here we are. I don't know. Are we rolling Shano's footage?
We'll roll Shane's footage first.
And then I'll get into it. So here's Shano.
I hope that's transitioned. Yeah, sorry guys, the OBS has been a prick.
Bogan's potatoes struggling tonight.
Yeah, it is. Oh, here we go.
Working, we're not working.
We've got a lag on.
I'm not sure. I'm waiting for it to come up. Waiting for it to come up on my phone because that's how the potato's going at the moment. I have to preview the stream on the phone.
Absolutely terrible form in the shoey from Shano. Yeah. Jeez.
Look good on him.
Sorry
for talking through that, viewers.
He's pissing out everywhere. But anyway,
good on him. So I got me shoey. I got the beer, just some random beer out of the fridge. I was going to hit something else, but this will do. So the key is with Shano, he's just poured it in. It's like pouring a beer. You work behind a bar. You don't just want to slam it in there, otherwise it gets frothy. So we'll just get it in there all nice and hopefully not too frothy like. And this is just frothed out deluxe.
Mate, so what happens to this shoe after you do this one, mate?
Oh, she'll dry out. She'll be right.
She'll dry out. She'll be right. See, that's what I love.
Should have used the business shoe again, mate. You had good form last time you did it.
That was just one of the Billy shoes, actually. I think I'm leaking out the front here, so I'm going to have to put this away.
Not a bad effort. Very good. No spillage, Shano. That's how you do it, mate. That's how a seasoned professional does it. So
turns it slightly to the side.
Oh. Cheers, Shano.
Benny, mate, you would think a Panther fan would be an expert on that, mate. But we're just introducing Shano to all the joys of Aussie life. So, bit sheltered down there.
Shane in the chat says it dries out after about a day, so you should be right.
Cheers, Shano. Good stuff, mate.
Very good. Now, guys and girls at home, obviously I will be doing the Man Challenge. We'll save that for a little bit later on in the episode. We're going to run through all the games from last week first and a few updates from obviously this week too. So, first game last week, and we saw the Eels absolutely dominate the Broncos, mate. Really, really good game from the Eels. And, mate, the 6 again rule. First time we saw it, and I think across the board, everyone pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. I didn't expect it. Definitely didn't expect it to play such a big change in the game. But yeah, she seems a lot quicker. Obviously, a lot more footy getting played, less stoppages, which is good. And some of these big 4-packs are going to be under the pump for the next few weeks. So Para absolutely ran amok. At half time, it was still in the balance, 12-6, but they ran over them in the end. Just I think bit fitter on the day and. I guess this is going to be the unfittest teams are going to be. Obviously, you'd imagine it'll improve over the next few weeks or whatever. But, Gutho there obviously ran amok. Matto was pretty big for anyone that had him, and Haas obviously performing again. So plenty of points on offer in that Parramatta side. And, absolutely trounced them to start. I didn't expect that one.
Yeah, mate, look, I was really impressed by the combination that Madison and Moses have put together so quickly on that right-hand side for the Eels. And we saw there towards the end as well, Madison points slightly inflated, or maybe not inflated, but he definitely got a bonus there towards the end, setting up a try for Wonga Blake. So some good things there. Anyone who obviously has got him, managed to bring him in myself last week. Not started in with the season, but had plenty of thoughts too. And mate Gutho, King Gutho, huge week last week for fullbacks. Fullbacks had huge points everywhere. So for me, for someone who had only Ryan Pappenhausen at the back, it definitely hurt me last week because a lot of guys got edges on me with that fullback position.
Yeah, what a week, to not have a couple of those big boys like the TNT, Teddy and Turbo. Yeah. But we'll get to those.
Absolutely. First game on the Friday night, and we saw the Cowboys get the points over the who they play. Oh, fuck, of course, the Cowboys. How can I forget? Yeah, Cowboys. Van Hampton, look at him. Where is he? He's on the list there, third on the list, 78 points. Well done to Ben Hampton. Val Holmes, huge game from him from the fullback position. Looks like he's come back as good as ever, and he'll develop as the season goes on. Tamalolo started off slow, and obviously people will know from Team List this afternoon that he is out this week. Injured. He bruised his knee in the first half there, but still came back for the rest of the game and managed to run 290 metres. So huge effort from him last week. And obviously, if you look at it for the season, he is that sort of set and forget captain as long as he's on the park. For the Titans, pretty much a dismal team over there. Jai Arrow continues to perform quite well. Brian Kelly played well, mate. First chance he had this season.
Yeah, look, they chucked him on the left wing. I think he scored that nice little one where he did the double back on Felt there and went in the corner. So he's been, a bloke that's scored pretty well at centre in the past. So I don't know what he's priced at this year, but he looked pretty good. Blow the cobwebs out. Maybe he's got that flu shot into him now. I tell you what, that left edge of the Cows was looking pretty crisp. Anyone that got on Drinkwater, anyone that had Holmes as a pod, and obviously Hampton, he strolled over twice. That left edge was really crisp. I know they played the Titans, but it'll be really interesting to see how that goes throughout the year. You had him as a bit of a smoky, Joshy, but they mixed it up as well because I'm sure they had Hess on the right side in the first couple of weeks, and he was out playing on the left as well, and he looked pretty good. So, yeah, plenty of good things. And anyone, like I said, that had Holmes, and obviously plenty of people had Hampton, rightly so, even though we ragged him. It was crisp.
I'm not giving him that easy.
Can I say, not only did you rag him, Josh called me up and said, I need to do a rant show. And the rant was all about how much he doesn't like Ben Hampton.
Well, yeah.
Can the people hear you, Bogan?
Yeah, I turned my mic on just for that comment because I think it needs to be noted that we did a whole episode because Josh felt the need to put his feelings about Ben Hampton out there.
The feelings are still strong. And negative towards the bloke in Supercoach. I think this week I was wrong. I was wrong this week. So look, I've got to cop it. I'll drink my egg. I'll eat my sugar. I'll drink my vodka and my beer over there in a second.
He's a good start on you to eat some cat food as well.
Well, that's exactly true as well. So that average, he's definitely shot out further in front of Sivo and Fergo. Well, he's nowhere to be seen. He really needs to kick up the ass because he's done nothing this year so far. So we'll just wait and see for that man challenge. But mate, Hampton looking the goods for some cat food as well.
Redemption, mate, redemption.
And the Friday night game, the second game, obviously the Roosters up against the Bunnies. Roosters dominated pretty much the whole way through this. Return of Cam Murray, mate.
Yeah, look, I think it was one of the blokes that said get rid of him if you got him, but he scored that try early as well. And I think, did he end up, he rotated into the middle, I think, as well by the end of it. Don't quote me on it, but he didn't play 80. Obviously, he scored the try. Would have got a line break with that. He's probably got some more some stats there. His base was only about 50 odd, so it wasn't enormous. But anyone that held on to him, well done. He still didn't hit his break even, but any owners that did keep him, pretty big. I thought it was a pretty pivotal moment in that match where back end of the game with, I don't know, was it 10 minutes to go where they've ruled where Hargraves lost the ball and then it was captain's challenge and Sirenen's legs knocked the ball out and they've ruled in favour of the Chooks. I think if that decision had gone the other way, it would have been interesting to see what would unfold in that game. But, yeah, Supercoach-wise, obviously Teddy was... It's pretty crazy, right? Teddy didn't seem to do too much. He scored that try early in the second half, but still scored 100. He's just... Every time he runs the ball, he breaks 35 tackles. He's just always sniffing. He's always sniffing around, looking hungry. So anyone that had him, obviously he was a big price, 780 odd K. Well done to you. Obviously, for that price, you want to be scoring hundreds. But I think a lot of people looking at him this week, and I think Tupu looked really good as well. He obviously scored well, but I think he looked awesome. Big Tupu.
Yeah, I think he's a player both of us had in the past, Daniel Tupu, and he just doesn't seem to find that consistency or. I guess that stardom that a lot of the other players do in Supercoach, but I know there's a couple of guys in our group who have got him as a pod and performed quite well. So see how it goes there. And obviously the Bunnies, a bit of resurgence there for Damien Cook and for Burns as well. Some return to form for them. So despite them going down fairly convincingly in the game, Supercoaches would have been happy with the Bunnies players.
And I reckon Cookie in a beaten side, like they were beaten. In the end, they didn't look like they were probably going to beat them. They did have that late chance side looted, but Cookie, in a well-beaten side, he scored 71 points without doing too much. They play Melbourne this week, then they get a few easier games after that. So I think anyone that's held on to Cookie, it's still justified. He might take a little bit of a hit, a high break even this week, but I don't think it was a terrible hold this week, mate.
Yep. No, fair enough. First game there on the Saturday, and we saw the Warriors get up, keeping the Dragons to 0. Look, a lot of questions got to be asked about this Dragons team. Cam McInnes came back and played huge, as always, made about 100 tackles. For the Warriors, obviously Cody Nikorima had a solid game. The young fellas there, Elisa Katoa and Tanor Brown, both scoring tries in the first half. So well done to them. Most people have got them in their team. I didn't play either of them. They were just stuck in my bench, so I missed a few points there, but happy to get the price rises that they'll go over in the next few weeks. Mate, did you watch this game?
No, I didn't. This was one of those games I wasn't, overly enthusiastic to watch. I was hearing plenty about the Warriors. I think they ended up completing, 46 or 48 sets in the end. At one point, they were 45 or 45. Right. If they're doing that every week, all of a sudden that's maybe a different dynamic. But they were playing the Dragons. But yeah, those boys, as you said, you had JTB there up the front. Obviously, Katoa. I didn't have Katoa, so that one stings a bit. But he looked really good. Obviously, Harris was massive as well, too, who possibly he's on a bit of a throwback. So, but the Dragons, mate, what's doing on paper? Their squad is not terrible. I think we've been calling from McGregor's head for every time they get touched up like this, and I think we're hearing now his head's on the chopping block.
Yeah, coming out today, obviously we see a fair bit on social media and in the papers that Shane Flanagan may be the one to I guess take that position from him. So a bit of an interesting one there with the ties back to Cronulla, and I've got my thoughts about that. I think Flanagan's a brilliant coach, and the coaching for me has always been about that man management. What we've seen, Wayne Bennett be so good at over the years, and now Craig Bellamy, they turn that man management and that sort of social side of things into how these guys play on the field and that discipline. And if Shane Flanagan can get a hold of the reins, I think he'll do a heck of a better job than McGregor will. So talk is that he's got 2 games left. I think he'll get this weekend, and then they'll sack him.
Just a bit of a crystal ball. We're not doing the crystal ball this week, but a bit more of a longer term crystal ball. If they do pick up Flanagan, do you think he'll do like a couple of seasons there and look to head back to the Sharks, Joshy?
Oh, not really, mate. No, I think he's done his time there. I think with his son as well, Kyle Flanagan, gone away, that's probably too hard a thing to return from, at least for the same club. But yeah, that's early prediction there. But yeah, otherwise, not too much to say about that game. The next game, my boys went down to the Tigers. A little bit disappointing in this one. I actually couldn't catch it. All the shit around KO and things like that, I give it the flick. So I didn't actually catch this game, but I did listen to it on the wireless. It was a little bit interesting to listen to a game of footy on the radio again. I haven't done that for many, many years. But Tigers getting up fairly convincingly in the end. They had a dominant second half. David Nofaluma was huge for me. I'm glad I've sort of had him in since round 2, playing quite well. Harry Grant, massive debut for the Tigers. I think a lot of sort of the hype around this guy must be real. Hampton?
Yeah, look, he was busy. He looked involved. He ended up playing just under 60 minutes. So he's looking like a possible option. And just the nature of him might be like a good, at this point of the season, might be a good, one of your 4 reserves as well. Better than a Brayley at least anyway. So, in the next couple of weeks, I think everyone's going to have to get on him unless you're running, Cook and Appy now. If you've got Brayley or Walters or whoever it is, you're going to have to go to this lad this week or next. Big, massive break even again this week. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with your boys, mate. It just didn't click. Dugan and Graham were sort of shining lights out there. They kept you in it a bit for a while there, but that right edge is something. I don't know if it's the Sherry or what you can blame it on, but there's just something not right about your boys. Obviously, had a couple of outs. Feeder was ruled out late. But, Johnson, obviously, anyone that had him, massive disappointment there. That right edge, just on his second Ramian to do big things. And, even Nicora's just not looking the same guy this season. So I'm not sure what it is, but he's missing a bit of spark. And it showed on the weekend.
Yeah, everything really just looks flat there, mate. I watched a few of the highlights and things of that after the game. And it is disappointing, especially as a fan. But as you say, everything just looks a little bit flat. A bit uninterested. Obviously, Graham, you always know what you're going to get out of him. And that combination actually looked pretty good on the left there in the highlights. So pretty happy with that. Hopefully they can just sort of continue to develop that right hand side. But SJ really needs to take charge of that. And very disappointed in subbing him in last week for Kiri, and 22 points I think he ended up on. So there's only one way to go, really.
Right, that roller coaster. I think Kennedy was a good spark for you, and Moylan's going to get a run at 5'8" this week with Townsend out. So we'll see what happens. But pretty disappointing. I'm just noticing in the chat, Joshy, people saying about Holden Brayley and Walters as they've got negative BE still and waiting a week on Grant. I think the problem with that is next week, if you're trying to get Teddies and Turbos and that in, you possibly can't wait till next week, or there's a heap of trades you got to try and make early. Guys probably looking at getting Braden and Best and that in as well early. So I agree, you probably shouldn't be trading Brayley out now, but I'm in a situation where I pretty much have to. So, normally you wouldn't, but I think most people are probably pretty happy with their squad. So you might have to move early on a couple of these guys that have still got low break evens.
Yeah, mate, exactly right. I've moved on Bradman Best this week. Blake Brayley will be the one to go next week for Harry Grant, provided he backs up that number. Even if he doesn't, mate, now that he started with an 80, there'll be a jump up in cash. We'll see.
Titans obviously this week as well.
Yeah, Titans this week. So look, chances are that he performs quite well. I'm going to hold on to Billy Walters over Blake Brayley. It just helps me there, obviously, with the half, him being a cheaper half than Blake Brayley just being solo hooker. So, but you're right, mate. We've got to make these moves quickly because they're only going to be slow burn players, whereas Harry Grant might be a little bit more than that. And we've got to get access to these other high flying sort of points makers.
And as I think Benny Gorman says in the chat, it sort of just comes down to what your list's looking like. If you're a team that has your Teddy and your Turbo or one or the other, you might be able to still do it. But, I'm having to move and shake on them early, unfortunately.
Based on the Sharkies there, Timmy Smith's on the chat. He's saying SJ to Munster. Look, in years gone past, I've been a huge Munster follower. I've always sort of had him, and I've just steered away from him completely this year. I'm not too sure why, but again, I've made one sideways trade from Kiri to SJ. Would I make another one from SJ to Munster? I'm going to give SJ a chance. The fact that he's just had a shock of a game means he's got to bounce back eventually. So hopefully it can be this week. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, Munster doing Munster things. He's just got to ride the roller coaster with these boys, I think. And now you've copped it with SJ. I think you'll be... it'll burn your piss if he blows up in the next couple of weeks, because they do have a decent draw as well. So I think you just got to ride it.
Yeah, yep. The final game there on the Saturday, and we saw the Raiders obviously get up over the Melbourne Storm. Most of the points in the first half here until Tarpanay scored in the last minute. But very, very good game from the Raiders and led by the Snoz in George Williams.
Yeah, well, this was actually, unfortunately, one of the games I didn't get to watch. I was out on having a few drinks on Saturday night, but it sounded like it was a really good game. Missed a few good performances by the sounds of things. Obviously, apparently Georgie Williams established himself, made a couple of try assists and ran a bit of a muck out there on the Storm. I heard Pappenhausen might have got robbed. Shane was telling me Pappenhausen got robbed a try. I didn't see that one. Not sure what happened there, but Munster was obviously big. Those outside backs for the Raiders produced. Kotrick, Rapana both scoring. I think Clockstad went in as well. So Raiders establishing themselves again in 2020, maybe looking to back it up and go one better this season, mate.
Mate, a little bit earlier in the chat, someone asked about Pappenhausen and whether he's a trade, whether he's replacing. Look, I'm going to hold him. I don't know why. It's a little bit frustrating. I'd hope he would have sort of done more than that 50 average. He hasn't been atrocious. He's definitely done the least amount that he could probably do in each game. So, again, he's just another one where I'm waiting for that blowout performance, and hopefully it's not too far away. I have tweaked my fullbacks this week a little bit, and we'll go to the trade shortly, and you'll see more about that there. But, Pappenhausen for mine is a hold.
Look, I'm trading this week, and the reason why I am is because I think long term it was always Pappen was going to get you to Teddy or Turbo, and it was like after Origin, before we had all this shit go down with Corona and all that, it was like he'll get you to Origin, probably made 100,000, 200,000, and then reassess your options there. Unfortunately, basically now after watching Teddy and Turbo, they've obviously spent the break well. It's a matter of, I don't know. It was always going to be part of the plan, but it's now just got to happen a bit quicker. That said, he scored 50 points every week without, doing heaps. And he's just 1 or 2 games around the corner from probably scoring 100, 120, which he's definitely capable of. But for me, I just feel like, would I prefer to have Pappenheisen as a pod to my team or Teddy or Turbo? And after what just happened on the weekend, I can't keep having Teddy and Turbo as pods, so I have to get rid of one of them.
Yeah, gotcha. No, fair enough, mate. And then we moved to the Sunday games, and we saw the first game on the Sunday there. Obviously, this draw, 14-all between the Knights and the Panthers. I caught most of this, and this was just awesome to watch. It was one of those games where I actually was glad I sat down to watch the footy on a Sunday afternoon because, yeah, if this is what you get each week, it's definitely worth watching week in, week out. Look, I saw in some social media there today comments around Glasby. Mate, can you explain how he got 130?
Well, I'm looking at him on NRL Supercoach stats right now. He went off at one point for like a HIA assessment as well. So keep that in mind. He ended up playing 58 minutes. In 58 minutes he's churned out 71 points in base, which is crazy, and he got a whole heap of creative stats like creating opportunities, assists, those sorts of things, and a few evade stats. So, look,
maybe they should knock him on the head before every match in the sheds.
Off the radar, he's gone 32, 37, and then 130. It'll never happen again. No. Don't get on him. He's 470k this week with a -1 break even, and he'll score 35 next week. It was just one of those blips. It was bizarre, but
completely out of the blue.
What a game of footy! I think early on we defended, back-to-back sets, kept them out, and then they finally went in. Big kick out went in, and I thought they open, and then Capewell went in on the other side, and I thought, here we go. And we lost Pearce early, we lost Watson early, 3 blokes, on debut. And what a game! But Supercoach wise.
Credit to your guys, though, or maybe a bit of a dismal effort from the Panthers. Every time you guys went down the other end, you seemed to score. And it wasn't that many times, hence the scoreboard that's there. But, very, very good effort. From Supercoach point of view, Isaiah was massive again. Just the base that this guy's got, the engine, he just keeps going and going. So, and somehow it seems in the back end of the game, he always produces a line break here or there. So, managed to crack the ton, Isaiah. Most people have got him in their teams now. Very, very good player. And like we've spoken about before, with the fact that he's in those centre wing position, he's just a must-have there.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think he went up 100 grand this week too, so that's going to sting for anyone that was sort of hoping he'd only go 50 odd and pick him up next week. But plenty of options. It's looking like in that Penrith side this season. You got, Billy Kickows looking dangerous. Obviously, Mansour was pretty awesome, mate. I was tooting my horn about getting on him. You got Appy. Luai was pretty shitty, but Cleary once he's back. They've got a few options around the park, so they're going to look good. I still don't know how Burton didn't hit one of those field goals.
Mate, he struck him so sweet too, the poor bugger.
And how is he not getting the spot over Luai when Cleary's back?
He has to. Absolutely has to. His kicking game, his control. The only thing I can think of is obviously in the halves these days, they like that controlling player, and then they like the sort of X factor player. But Luai doesn't look like he's actually got much. I was pretty disappointed in him. But mate, you were spot on with Mansour. His activity's gone back up to what it used to be. I think we look at the past couple of seasons, he really dropped off. He had 29 runs on the weekend. And that was sort of what I was waiting to see, was that consistency. I reckon in the next 2 or 3 weeks, if he continues that, look, he might be able to reach for me, but I can imagine anyone sort of having him at the moment.
I think I think this is sort of the week. He's priced at 409, just under 490k. His break even's 8. They play the Warriors, Para, then Melbourne, so they don't have the best run, but it's not terrible. But he's just so involved. His base is really, really good. So I think anyone that has Stags or is off Masters or wants to get off, something like that, probably this week's the week. But yeah, pretty happy to have brought him in last week, and he did that 85 on the weekend without scoring a try. So
yeah.
He hasn't scored a try this season and hasn't scored under 60. So. Yeah. Pretty big.
That's good signs. And, mate, the engine room for your boys, the Saifidi twins and Clemmer. Obviously, we probably concentrate a little bit more on Jacob Saifidi because there's money to be made there. We mentioned at the start of the season he started 208,000, mate.
Yeah, quite fortuitous. A few of those injuries, as it sometimes happens. Once the bench dropped down to 2, they had a couple of rookies out there. They, all these boys in the middle, like I said, Saifidis, both the Saifidis. Clemmer was massive. That Connor Randall on debut made 71 tackles, which was a record for a player on debut. Ended up playing 75 minutes or something like that. Even Brodie Jones, who filled in for Fitzgibbon, he probably didn't get as much talk about him, but he made 51 tackles out there, marking up on kick-out's edge. It was absolutely massive for a bloke on debut. And Tex Hoy, mate, he's
just looks solid.
Give me a spot, and now sort of calling for him to play 6 once everyone's back. But Connor Watson will be out for apparently 6 to 8 weeks, so there's probably a bit of a trend, like a bit of a period there where he'll probably get a bit of an opportunity to play a bit off the bench.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe Mason Leno's in a bit of strife, but yeah, really good, really starchy effort from the boys. I was pretty happy with that, but they have to back it up again this week against the Raiders. But Ponga's back, so that'll be good.
For sure. And final game, Bogan just switched to it there. We saw one of the masters of the game in Tommy Turbo had an absolute blinder. Week high, 152 points, couple of tries, 3 try assists, line breaks everywhere, Huge game from him. Huge game from Curtis Sheridan as well. Played a blinder. And Manly Warringah, far, far too good for a very, ordinary Bulldogs outfit, as we've spoken about before.
Yeah, mate, Turbo just doing Turbo things, unfortunately, and what a week to do it. First week back, obviously, well done to anyone that had him, and the beauty of hindsight, if you had someone like Ponga sitting there on the pine this week, you could have looked at this upgrade, but that really stung anyone that didn't have him, and even Teddy with the 100, but he could have probably had 200. I think he bobbled one over the line. There was another one Garrick sort of blew as well that he would have got points from. So he was in everything. He just pops up everywhere, doesn't he? He's such a good ball player as well, but he also just can go if he needs to. But he had 126 break even and has absolutely smashed that out of the park.
It's insane.
A 31 break even now, and what a freak. To think he's still not possibly the number 1 fullback in the game is pretty crazy as well.
Look, and I will say I was speaking to Benny in the chat. We were speaking on Facebook. I think it was Thursday or Friday last week after we did it, and we actually were discussing how, barring injury, we thought Turbo was probably the better fullback and the better Supercoach player than Teddy with regards to potential. But just in the last 12 months with all the hamstring injuries, it's just been that sort of hard to take. And, obviously if we can keep him injury-free, a lot of positives there. One thing out of the game as well was Gerbo. Gerbo, I think, got benched with about 15 to go, so probably didn't score as high as he could have. But I think after 20 or 30 minutes, he was on about 45 points as well. So turned into just an average game for him. But a few owners of him will be a little bit dirty, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. He was geared up. He set up a really nice try for Turbo. I think Turbo's second try, the little inside-out ball out the back, which was pretty good. And that was what we've alluded to, that sort of Gerbo's missed in the past, not having his brother there, because they do link up really well. Yeah. Obviously, I think Teddy or Turbo sort of debate. I think they're both unique in what they offer. I think Teddy's more likely to be the guy that's exploding out of tackles and getting the line break and probably backing up scoring the try, where I think Turbo's got a bit more of the, the try assist creativity in him, or setting up that line break. He still has the base and he still can get the line breaks, but I think, like on the weekend, I think he set up 3 tries and scored a couple himself, but he's not as sort of explosive. But, they both offer a different dynamic. They're both pretty expensive. So, I think that performance on the weekend and the new speed of the game, mate, I think it's just shown that they're going to be more dangerous than ever, especially in the back end of halves. So,
yeah. Mate, just in the chat, we've got Kieran there. What are your thoughts on a Teddy and Holmes combination? Is Holmes a keeper for the season? Look, it's always hard to see these guys as keepers for the season when you got Teddy and Turbo. Teddy and Turbo, they are the premier fullback combination that you can get in Supercoach. That said, if you're after a pod kind of thing, then Holmes is definitely an option. He's shown there at the Cowboys. He has come back in brilliant form. And as you said, Brent, mate, I sort of called it last week that I thought their right-hand side would be the way they look to, but it was really that left-hand side and down Ben Hampton's side. Cohen Hess, you mentioned, went over there. So they've really sort of – he can play both sides, Valentine, and that's the brilliance about him as well.
Yeah, and I think the beauty of it, mate, as well, is for those people that, obviously this week everyone's going Teddy Turbo, but they're not cheap. They're both over 700K. Teddy was near 800K last week. Turbo's, well over 700. And they're going to stay there now probably for a few weeks again. But when you have guys like Holmes and Ponga and Pappenhuisen and even Tuivasa-Sheck that are, 100 grand cheaper, I think the beauty of it this season is if you don't have Teddy or Turbo, you're still going to have those weeks where these guys like Holmes with the goal kicking, Ponga with the goal kicking, Pappenhuisen for 250K cheaper than Teddy or Turbo gives you options to do other things.
Yep.
So I like the position, and to think, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck isn't even getting a mention at all at the moment, and he's a Dally M winner of 2 seasons ago or whatever it was. So I think that's going to be the beauty of the fullback position now. These guys aren't dual fullbacks, and you can't put them anywhere else, so you're going to have to pick your 2. But it's definitely the most important position in Supercoach now, just because they have so much attacking potential and they're scoring hundreds they're going out of fashion.
Now, Bogan, send me black screen for a little minute, mate. I'm going to head over to the kitchen and get set up for this man challenge. But let's run through the scores from last week, mate, just quickly. Mine and yours. Mate, I think I scored about 1,090 or something like that. Pretty average. I think I went back about 5,000 or 6,000 spots, down to about 15,000. Mate, you weren't too much better?
No, 1136. I think I wasn't looking too bad till the Cronulla game. I played Rudolph, Brayley, Ramian. They ended up being... I missed the bullets in Asako, Stags and Fledgler, but they ended up being my Asako, Stags and Fledgler. They did the exact same thing. So they hurt a bit, 1136. Stayed around. I'm just under 15K total rank, changed about 100 spots. So, for people that didn't have Teddy or Turbo, especially Turbo, people that had Turbo as captain, this week was going to sting. So, there was plenty of 1,300s, 1,400s this week, and well done to those people that had Teddy or Turbo and guys like Nofo and stuff like that as well. There was some big scores. I think top score for the round was 1,500 or something, which is madness. So, look, we'll get on the horse for next week. We've still got 17 rounds of footy to go, is it? So plenty of footy still left to play.
Mate, absolutely. It's just good that it is back now. Obviously, we've waited through the COVID, and it's great to see our sport one of the first ones back. So we can definitely enjoy that over the coming weeks. And right, I found my way into the kitchen to do another one of these man challenges. Thank you very much.
Josh, are you roboting a bit there with your mic? Just want to make sure it's connected properly.
Yeah, probably.
Just while there's plenty of chat while you're getting ready. Are you good? Are you good to go or what?
I don't know. I don't know whether I'm on the screen there. Bogan's got it blanked out.
Bogan's got to chuck him up. Chuck you up. There he is. Fish on.
Do a big screen. Jeez.
Yeah, big screen. All in your fuzzy glory, mate. Like
me Huawei camera.
Yeah, that's what you get for fucking buying Chinese. You've bought a fucking Corona phone.
Yeah. That's why it's fuzzy. My phone's got coronavirus.
Yeah.
All right. So, guys, anyone watching at home, anyone who didn't see last week's episode, there's a thing been going around the last few weeks on Facebook, social media, called the Man Challenge for Beyond Blue. It is basically a 4-step process. It is an egg down the hatch. It's a tablespoon of sugar. It's a shot of a spirit. I've got some Stoli vodka, and then it's a beer down the hatch. Now, the boys, Shano and Tyson jumped on last week and did theirs. They did it with chili. I think Shano was allergic to egg or something like that, and then Tyson had no idea that it was an egg. So there you go. But I've gone back to the original challenge. We've got the egg here. I don't go too well with the eggs, but we'll give it a crack now, eh? All right.
Doing it for the boys. Good on you, mate.
Doing it for the boys.
Don't think about the gooey egg going down the back of the guzzle.
Oh, that shit house.
Oh.
Hang on. The fucking sugar's stuck to the bottom of the glass.
Let's go on the wet glass with the sugar.
At least he's got his mic on this time. It adds a bit to it.
You know, when people are looking back on society in, another 50 or 100 years, and they're finding these videos of these challenges, weren't we at the pinnacle?
Oh.
What was it, the vodka?
Yeah, it's Dolly vodka. It might have been a double shot.
Here's the Joshy Shubu. So I think this is probably going to be... Look at that. Put it away, son. Well done. Credit.
All right.
Solid.
See, you need to get a better camera because there was a perfect fucking thumbnail if you weren't all fuzzy. You belching out a lion.
I'll get another new phone next week and we'll see how we go.
Well done,
right.
Kingy.
We may as well continue the show from here. I'm not moving back. So,
Okay.
What do we got next, Bogan?
Spin off to a cooking show with Kingy or something. Cooking with Kingy.
Mate, I tell you what, I go right in the kitchen too.
Bit of scrambled eggs or something.
A bit of scrambled eggs. My specialty, I do a lemon and lime steak. So there you go. We'll keep that one an eye out for that one over the coming weeks.
Sounds good,
we'll
mate.
Put up the recipe.
So it starts again on Thursday, mate, with Brisbane taking on the Chooks. So it should be an interesting one to see Brisbane back up here, and obviously the Chooks looked pretty good, mate. So, a couple of outs there. You got the Stags, obviously a pretty big one for any Stags owners. So Jeffy Arthurs will slip into centre. Herbie Farnsworth will get a start on the wing. Who else we missing there from? Obviously still for Feeder, TPJ. And I think I've heard this afternoon Turpin will be out for Brisbane as far as I've heard. So they'll probably be running a debutant at hooker. No Alex Glenn. They got plenty of outs. So they could be in a bit of strife. And the Roosters still possibly get Takiaho and the Mitch Orbison could come back into that side as well. But, Brisbane could be in a bit of strife again here this week.
Yeah, look, the effort we saw from them last week against the Eels, it wasn't without too much. It's just a little bit hard for them at the moment, I guess. They are going through that phase where we see there's so much expectation put on their young forward pack and how these guys are coming through. Obviously, as you mentioned there, mate, Jake Turpin, he will be out for a month or so. Strained quad muscle there at training today. Didn't finish it off. So we'll probably see either Corey Pay or Tom Dearden come on and take that position at the number 9 spot. But, mate, I think the Roosters will just be a little bit too good in this one. That said, Keary and Flanagan haven't really gelled as yet, so they've got plenty to work on as well. But the fact that they're winning games and it's sort of a new combination there of halves makes them even more dangerous every week it goes on because they will switch on eventually. Oh, mate, you lead off.
First game, moving on to the Friday. It's the 6 o'clock game on the Friday. Will be Penrith taking on the Warriors. Shaping up to be a good one if the Warriors back up. Performance they did last week. Usually probably entertaining when these two teams play. Plenty of points in them. Still no Cleary back for the Panthers. Obviously one more game to go on his suspension. Caleb Bacon's still holding down that fullback spot. Stephen Crichton looks a likely likely old thing. I don't know what he'll be like Supercoach wise at the moment, but he looks pretty dangerous. A big, fast, young thing there, and obviously all your usual offenders in that pack there of Coruscant, Fisher Harris, Kikau, Yao. And mate, any considerations on Capewell at all at this stage? I know you got Liam Martin on the bench there. It's a bit of maybe danger for security, but
let's talk about
I know
Capewell.
You've always been a big fan of Capewell.
Let's talk about Capewell. So we've got our hate list, and Capewell's on it. No, look, obviously Capewell, ex-Sharky, love the bloke at Cronulla, really, really good player. But, mate, there's something in common with all the guys that joined my hate list for Supercoach, and that's, I guess, being victims of versatility. It'll have to be my hashtag soon. But different story here at Penrith. It looks like his position is there in the second row. They're not going to use him to patch any jobs on the wing or in the halves or anything like that. So what we saw from him last week there, he played solid minutes, all in the back row, and he got a chance to shine in one position. So season's gone by with Cronulla. I wouldn't have had him just because we used him in a different way. But now that we see pretty clearly how Penrith are going to use him, absolutely he could be an opportunity. I think he scored around 90-odd points last week, so plenty of owners would be happy with that. So anyone who sort of takes a chance on him.
I think with him as well, he's only going to be playing his second game, Joshy, so you don't have to panic him in this week. You can see how you get another look at him. Unless you've got a desperate trade you need to find someone at 400K. You can get at least another look at him, so don't have to rush him in if you are thinking about him.
Mate, talk to me about Api Coruscant and the addition of Mitch Kenny on the bench.
Yeah, well, that was always the worry coming into the season at the start of the year that Kenny wouldn't find a bench spot, and he didn't. So Api played 80 in the first two games and performed beautifully. So on the weekend, it's sort of been a bit the water's a bit murky because of the golden point. So Appy's he hasn't played 80, but he has played high 70s, and I think he played most of that golden point, if my memory serves me correctly. But I don't know.
I was just going to say, from memory watching, he sort of went off in the late 50th minute, sort of the 57th, 58th minute, and came on about 10 minutes later. So, just a short sort of spurt from Mitch Kenny. But it just got me worried a little bit.
If that's all it is, that's fine. Obviously, Mitch Kenny's young up and comer. They have signed Coruscant this season, so they brought him there for a reason. Look, I still think Coruscant's base is good enough, and if they are going to, even if they sit him down for 10 or 15 minutes, at the midpoint of that second half, and he comes on with 15 to go, he's still going to be fresh enough to cause heaps of headaches and create those attacking stats at the back end of halves when everyone's off their feet. Anyway, so he's still definitely, if you got him, you're keeping him. If you haven't got him, you can probably still bring him in. He's only 450k with a low break even still. But it is a bit of a got to watch and see what happens there. Hopefully, Mitch Kenny's 10-15 doesn't turn into 20-25 anytime soon.
From the Warriors' point of view, mate, look, obviously a very, very inexperienced bench there. Jack Murchie, Josh Curran and the likes are really, it makes you probably push that JTB and Elise Katoa. Obviously, we saw them score tries last week, but it wouldn't surprise me to see them in a lot of people's starting 17s this week because it looks like these boys will get plenty of minutes on the park as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone will be chasing last week's points. They both scored early as well, which was pretty massive. But they do look really good. I think they passed the eye test. Katoa's awesome, and that JTB is a massive lump of a kid. People that might have Sheck, I think they're clutching, but you could, he's still got that in him. I think the other one that you could be looking at for a bit of a pod, Josh, would be Harris. Obviously, pretty notable after his performance on the weekend, but he's 550k, 75 points in base on the weekend, which is absolutely enormous. But, if you're looking for a bit of pod action somewhere in the back row, Tohu's proven in the past and has the odd attacking stat in him too, but he hasn't produced them this season.
Bogan, send us black, mate. I'm going to go back to the couch. Mate, yeah, absolutely. So the Friday night game, who we got, Bogan? I can't remember.
We got Storm Rabbits on the...
Storm Rabbits. Go for it, Hampton.
Yeah, so, the Rabbits in all sorts here. They had a bit of a tough start to the season. Storm as well, obviously wanting to bounce back after that loss to Canberra. So both sides are wounded there. I think Bellamy will probably get his boys up and they'll be ready to fire. But still no Walker for South there. Not too many changes. Otherwise, I think Nas copped a week or two for something there. So Welsh will be back in the side. Otherwise, could be a good one. Still plenty of Supercoach points, on offer there. I still think South look really unfit, and they're going to get caught out in the middle a bit defensively. So, look out for Pappenheisen to possibly bounce back this week for anyone that's got him. Munster probably start to run amok out there as well, but I don't know what to make of South this season. They got the names on paper, but they're just not producing. And I'll give you credit where credit's due. Liam Knight's on the list.
Yeah, he's the captain. He's our captain
of the list.
He's the captain of the list.
If you didn't get off him, you've got him now. He's a train wreck. Abort.
Yeah. Look, Kenny Bromwich. How's Kenny Bromwich going for you, Bogan?
I can't remember what he scored this week, but he's consistent. He's a good sort of mid-range player. So
yep.
Yeah. Well, Jesse
he probably hasn't.
Big brother Jesse turning back the clock.
Yeah, the problem with Jesse, mate, he's turning back the clock, but he only turns back the clock once every 4 weeks. That's the problem with Jesse. So, but look, the Melbourne side, other than Cam Smith, it's a funny one. They're a lot similar to the Canberra Raiders in that there's not really too many effective Supercoach players there that you're desperate to have. You can imagine them in a lot of teams, but there's no one there that you really sort of think, oh, you're going to score 100 points this week, Like Cam Smith's solid for his 70, 75 week in, week out. It just seems to be what he scores. Munster, we know, obviously can blow up, but other than that, you might catch a sort of 100 or 120 here and there out of Pappenhausen or Addo-Carr. But, yeah, it's quite a strange one. There's not really any sort of desirable Supercoach players there.
Yeah, look, I totally agree. I think Pappenhausen's massive value for money, though, so he's bound to blow up because I'm trading him out this week too. So you might even think about chucking the captaincy on him.
Mate, I had the captaincy on him in round 2, and that was enough. He only got me 52 or something then. I'll be happy if Pappenhausen can just turn up. I won't be chucking the C on him anytime soon.
I'll tell you what, though, like Latrell Mitchell, I'm still not sure if the fullback experiment needs to keep going on, but don't they need someone like Jai Arrow this season?
Yeah, look, they really do. Jai Arrow, imagine Jai Arrow instead of Liam Knight there. It'd really make that sort of starting pack even more powerful. Totola's playing well. Burgess is playing well. Sewer's going okay. He's probably, again, he's another one people looked at the start of the season around that 300K, and there was the hope there that they'd turn into a sort of maybe a 60 average player. But he's had a couple of 50s, but again, his form just hasn't really lived up to what it was in the early days at the Broncos. And Cam Murray there last week, we saw how he can perform when he's on. So I really think that Liam Knight there is the weakest link, and Arrow, he'd fit in there quite well.
I felt good trading him out after he got that HIA and then scored, 20-something points?
Maybe I should just bring him in just so I can trade him out. That'd feel good. Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Who we got on the Saturday, mate? The 3 o'clock game in the afternoon.
We got that'll be because it's
a Monday game.
A long weekend, yeah. So we'll have a bit of looks like it could be a bit of a cracker on the Saturday at 5:30 with Parra taking on Manly.
This is a huge game after the two performances last week.
I might just add, just in case I forget later, with it being a Monday game next week, it'll probably be team list Wednesday instead of Tuesday.
For us?
Yeah.
Right. I was going to say, because Team List Tuesday will still come out, but yeah.
Yeah, but for us, just with the Supercoach points finalising and all of that, I just won't have fucking time to put the show together
All good,
time
pal.
for Tuesday.
All good. But, huge game in this one. And I'm tipping, and I've got to save myself from eating cat food, Maika Sivo's going to score a hat-trick. I need him to score 130, 140 points. So fingers crossed.
I'll tell you what, though. Fergo's off the boil, though, isn't he? If Waka Blake gets the ball, he's not passing it because Maddo barely passes it. I think you have to abort mission on Fergo. But how good does Dylan Brown look?
Yeah, really good young kid. Huge, great kicking game, great vision. Down that left-hand side, they look awesome. His combination with Sean Lane, and this is actually probably one thing we spoke about last year, Sean Lane really becomes an option if Dylan Brown's healthy. The combination that those two have got, and then on the other side, Mitch Moses and Madison, huge plays. So, again, we talk about Melbourne and Canberra probably not being Supercoach relevant. This team definitely is across the park. When you got the likes of Madison and Moses, along with plenty of others, there's a lot of players here in this blue and gold team that you'd want in your Supercoach.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the side on paper, they signed Campbell Gillard, Junior Paulos, he's devastating. Reid Marnie's unreal. They're going to, potentially make a bit of a run for it this year, I reckon. And no Nathan Brown still. He's still got to come back into the side yet.
Yeah, true. I'm not too sure the extent of the injury there with Brownie.
I think he copped a couple of weeks. I think he's due back around 5 or 6. So next week or the week after.
Gotcha. Okay. Manly, will look, what more to say? Obviously, Tommy Turbo had a huge game last week. Ruben Garrick scored a try there, but again, I'm liking his play more and more. Very, very quick play. We spoke about him last year, and I actually tipped him to sort of get dropped there. I thought he might have been injured, but he came good and strong season last year. His goal kicking over the weekend was terrible. He could have scored an extra 20 or 30 points. So he's had an absolute shocker there, but no doubt he'll be on the practice field this week.
I still reckon, you look at their side, you've got the crux of the forward pack with Fanua Blake, Tapau, Trebojevic, and then you got Joel Thompson and Sirenen in there as well. I still would have thought, who was that bloke that got a run last year at 5'8", and he's got that funny name, Cust? Is it Clyde Cust?
Cade Cust. Cade Cust?
Surely he's their best option at 6. Walker into the centres and Parker somewhere out of there. I don't know. I just don't rate Parker. He still always finds the try line, but I don't know if it's the ginger in him or something. But
mate, that's all it is. You're a ginger hater. That's the problem. You want to put him on the list?
Nah. He's
can't put him on the list. He scored 80 points last week.
Yeah, no. He's always backing Turbo up, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
I reckon someone out there needs to put all your hate players into one team and see how they go.
They'd be doing all right if they had friggin' Hampton and Parker in the side to start.
Yeah, exactly. But, what's his name? Cape Well, he went all right as well.
Okay, well.
It'll be a good team
captain,
this year.
Though.
Yeah, Knight as captain, you're fucked. Yeah. 7:30 game on the Saturday night. Oh, lost the film there. Oh, shit, here we go. Take over for me, boys.
So we got the Cows taking on the Sharkies.
My boys.
Another interesting one there. Cowboys looking pretty crisp so far, and Sharkies need to bounce back up there in the heat up at North Queensland again. So Matty Moylan comes into the side, replaces Chatty Townsend's done a hemi. Still no Fafita, I can see there, Joshy. So Rudolph will start at prop. And obviously a massive out. Now can forget Taumalolo will miss this game, some bone bruising or something like that. So that's a big out, obviously, for the Cowboys, and still no Michael Morgan. So a good time to probably play the Cows at the moment, mate, and your boys with desperate need to bounce back.
Yeah, mate, look, 0-3 to start the season really, really hurts. And we don't deserve anything more than that. They have been very, very ordinary. Mate, look, Fafita, it's interesting. we've talked about him in the past sort of 12, 18 months a lot on the show that he needed that time off, and the knee basically is shot. He's sort of done with that. So it doesn't really surprise me that he's not there. And if he does come back, the minutes are going to be limited. He'll probably be a bench player for 30 to 35 minutes, I'd say.
Is he done? Is he done as a Supercoach prospect?
Yeah, he is done. He is done. Don't get me wrong. There will be the games where he comes back and he plays 50 or 60 minutes and he'll score 80, 90, 100. But you can't be a Supercoach player just playing once every 6 rounds or once every 4 rounds. So, as a Supercoach player, he is done. From a point of view of obviously being a member of the Sharks team and how they go in the premiership, absolutely not. We need him there, and there'll be those big games where he does step up, and that's what I do love about Fafita, and it's probably one of the things I like about a lot of players is when they do step up for those big games, and he's one of those. So disappointing that we've got no Taumalolo this week, mate, for Supercoach players, but very happy from a Cronulla point of view. If he had been there, I would have absolutely given us no chance. But we do travel to North Queensland quite well. And I think this forward pack that Sharks have got with Nakora and Rudolph and Williams, they're really going to have to step up sooner or later because, when you've got no Fafita, no Gallen, Matty Pryor's gone now, they're going to get lost very, very quickly if those forwards don't start to perform. And I think a lot of the talk around SJ and what he can do, maybe it's just the fact that he's behind a little bit of a forward pack lacking in power.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's a few green sort of players in this game, so it'll be interesting to see if boys can assert a bit of dominance there. I think Matty Moylan, if he's fit, he adds a lot to you guys as well. Maybe he provides a bit of that spark that he's been missing.
Yeah, I think you're right there, mate. But the problem is, I don't think he is fit. Again, he's another one that's just sort of got these chronic injuries, which is a bit of a concern. So, wait and see there. Look, from a point of view of the Cowboys, we've mentioned Holmes a couple of times. SR Masters, mate, struggled a little bit last week.
Yeah, just didn't seem to get going last week. I don't know what it was. Like, he still ended up scoring 40-odd points without doing anything, but he wasn't his usual. He didn't seem his usual involved self. He just, I don't know. I'm not sure what it was, which is a bit disappointing considering they played the Titans. So, that Mitchell Dunn, like I said, they had Hess and Masters playing on the same side initially. They end up putting Hess on the left and Dunn on the right, and that Dunn has got a bit of Madison fever about him. He didn't pass the ball too often. So I don't know if it was that, but he usually comes in and gets a bit busier. So, I think it'd be nice to see him get a bit more involved. And he still hasn't scored for a pie yet. So I'm waiting for him to cross the line. I thought it would be a sure thing against these bloody Titans. But as long as Shano's just said, as long as that left side's looking as crisp as it does for the Cowboys, they've got no reason to come out of Masters.
No, exactly. Who we got elsewhere, mate? What are the next few games?
Just before, I've had a few people over the past couple of weeks ask questions about Jesse Ramian. What do you think of him? Pimp hand or diamond for Jesse Ramian?
Oh, mate, it's a pimp hand at the moment. Absolute pimp hand.
Yep. He's going to be the death of me.
Yeah, look. Worst thing he ever did was leave Cronulla and go to the Knights, and not that that's on the Knights, but he just lost that sort of run that he had going with Cronulla and how he was developing, and he just hasn't got it back. So, yeah, some of the things, I guess I look at it a lot in the way of probably not as classy or as brilliant as Latrell, but you see that inconsistency that Latrell has, but all of a sudden they'll turn it on for 20 minutes or 30 minutes. You just think, wow, they're one of the best in the world, but yeah, it just hasn't done enough.
Yeah, I think you have to hold him given the run. They'll play the Dragons next week, the Dogs the week after that. He's only started the season at 420k, so he shouldn't lose you too much cash. But if he hasn't pumped out, a good score over the next 3 weeks, you're probably going to have to get off him. He's busy. He does have good base and he gets involved. But yeah, I've sort of expected that right side combination to click a bit better, and it just hasn't yet. So. Maybe it'll take a few weeks, a bit of confidence.
Now let's, while we're talking about this, I just remembered we haven't given the update on peas and carrots. So Saturday night, ladies and gentlemen. Saturday night this week. Now the fields will come out tomorrow. Peas and Carrots will make its debut for the BJ and Race Day team. Peas and Carrots will be running this Saturday night at Ipswich Greyhounds. She trialled. What's today? Today's Tuesday. She trialled yesterday morning. She ran 25:26, which over the 4:31 at Ipswich is a pretty good time. Definitely free for all time. So top grade. So hopefully we can get her into an easy 5th grade, and she picks up a win this week. So check your form guides, because Saturday night when the Cowboys are playing the Sharkies, you might have to turn it off for 5 minutes to check out the old Peas and Carrots having a run. So there you go.
Gamble responsibly, gents.
Yeah. Gamble responsibly. Only chuck half the house on it, not the full house. Moving on to the Sunday, boys, and who's the first game we got up on the Sunday? The Raiders are nice. This is always a good day game on a Sunday.
Yeah, we're out. So my boy's taking on the Raiders. So Raiders
at Campbelltown of all places, which is odd.
Yeah. So they'll play at Campbelltown. Ponga back, massive in for us. It looks like Mitchell Pearce will back up, which will be massive, because if we don't have in, we'll be in big trouble. But Raiders look like they could be the benchmark for the season to start again. But no Bateman still, so it's good for us. But if we play the way we played last week, it could be a good game.
Can I just throw it out there as you are both Canberra boys? Wouldn't this whole COVID opportunity be a good opportunity for them to play out of Seaford?
Probably.
I hadn't really thought about it, Bogan.
Rather than fucking, both teams having to fucking travel, it is a Raiders home game. They should sort of be looking to play at the more scenic grounds.
Yeah, it's more about the control of it, the environment, and everyone plays out of Campbelltown. So
yeah, but the fucking ACT's got the lowest cases in the fucking country.
Well, yeah, got it there.
Until you get
there's no real any argument.
Until you get 10,000 people rocking up at Seaford trying to look through the fence.
I'm not. Yeah, well, yeah.
To watch the footy.
Yeah, but they have just redeveloped. Seaford.
I don't mind. Obviously being a Queanbeyan boy, played a fair few games myself at Seaford, and going back there and taking obviously the Raiders back there would be a huge plus for me. But yeah, it's hadn't even thought about it. But you're very much into your history, Bogan. Like you're very much you want to throw back to the 80s a lot. So,
mate, I remember seeing the Tigers versus the Raiders at Seaford Oval in 1989, the very same year that those two teams played in the grand final. And it was fucking fantastic. It's one of my best childhood memories.
Every 25-year-old bloke on the chat just fell asleep.
Yeah. Second point. Brent, have you got another fucking pen there? At the moment?
No.
I'm hearing some sort of clicking in the background. I thought, here we go. He's fucking...
I thought you were eating apples again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're eating apples. There it is. Eating his apples.
Yeah, there it is.
No, I'm just hearing tapping in the background. I don't know what it is, though.
Back to the footy chat.
Sorry, guys.
Interesting to see how Georgie Williams backs it up. He dismantled the Storm, so I've got him. I'll probably have to play him against my boys. And, I think he'll be out on the Bradman Best side of the field, so it'll be interesting to see how those boys handle Georgie Williams.
How big is Bradman Best, mate? He is huge.
For an 18-year-old kid, he has no neck, and he's nearly as tall as he is, wide.
Do you think they maybe got the name wrong and they named Sherry, but they were supposed to name Bradman Best?
Well, I hope they aren't mates, I'll tell you that much.
Surely there's some gear in that kid. Surely. Jesus Christ, he is a unit.
There's something in the water, that's for sure.
We'll clip that for when it comes out. And, yeah, you're right. There's probably some fucking heavy metals or something like that in the fucking water up in Newcastle.
Or he's hanging out with Jared Mullen or something. Fuck.
Yeah, Bradman Beast is the call in this chat, and I think that's probably pretty fitting.
Yeah, definitely. From a Supercoach point of view, mate, look, we went through it, I guess, in the recap here. Obviously, Ponga back for you guys is a huge plus, and anyone who held on to him last week, he'll be straight back into their side.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm one of them. You got him?
No, I wouldn't. At this stage of the year, he was just awkwardly. I could take Pappenhausen at 500k, or I could take Teddy or Turbo at 700 plus, but Ponga at 630, 640. If you're going to go him, I figured you'd just go all the way to Teddy or Turbo.
I figured I don't have to go all the way, so may as well get Ponga. I think
I've told you before, mate. I've told you before. He's got his 80 or 100 in him most games, but he doesn't have 150. This kid, what Turbo did last week, Ponga does not have that game in him.
Oh, you got to remember he's a 21-year-old kid, mate. Come on.
It doesn't matter, mate. He's had enough experience now that he should have been able to do that once at least, and he hasn't.
Well, and I think he's potentially going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries of this rule change, which we haven't seen yet. If you're thinking about a guy that's going to come into the back end of halves or in the middle of the field late in games, it's going to run a mark, surely this bloke's near the top of the list.
I'd like to think so, but...
kicking goals. As long as he's still kicking goals and Lino doesn't find his way in the team because there's an extra 10, 20 points a week. It's just a shame about the draw. We've got a tough draw over the next few weeks. So, yes, I'll be hoping we'll find out a lot about my boys this weekend against a pretty good Raiders outfit.
Mate, fair enough. Second game on the Sunday, we've got the 6:30 p.m. game, and I think it's the Tigers up against the Titans up there at actually where are they playing? Suncorp. Obviously, no Seabus Stadium.
Yeah,
up there at Suncorp.
Take Sunday evening off, guys. Go to the pub instead or something if you can.
Yeah. Bunch of changes here for the Titans.
For dinner, if you've got lifted restrictions, this is a good one to skip and spend some quality time with the family.
Fuck, it's no worse than the game on the Monday.
Yeah, the Dragons and the Doggies. That's going to be a very low TV rated event, similar to BJ and GameDay shows. But yeah, there's not really much to report here. Plenty of drops for the Titans, but no one really Supercoach relevant anyway. Brian Kelly kicks on. Look, provided he keeps his spot. There is a little bit of talk around today about Corey Thompson for the West Tigers going to the Titans. So we'll just have to watch and see whether that actually unfolds. Because obviously he's found his way out of that Tigers team.
Could be interesting if he goes halfway through the game, mate.
Well, there you go.
Well, I think the bench of the Titans is a bit interesting as well. They got this Tanner Boyd, who's a half, and then you got Cartwright, young Tana Mapeo, who's the ex-Storm bloke, if I'm not mistaken, and Joel. So possibly looking at Moe Fotoika or however, he could be, he could possibly on the scene, maybe more in drafts. Obviously, Arrow could be, in for some big minutes this week, possibly. And Aaron Clark has been named at hooker for him, mate. He's from across the ditch, and he's actually really good. So I didn't realise they'd signed him, but watch out for him.
Yeah, they signed him in the preseason, but there was never really any much talk about him getting a spot. Obviously, when you got the likes of Peets and Mitch Rain there, you'd think those blokes would have that spot sewn up, Nathan Peets, a one-time New South Wales hooker. Mitch Rain was probably on the edge there for a while of being in a blue jersey, so very, very surprising.
And Wallace, Whitbread, Don and Pearson all named in the extended bench. So Tigers, you'll still have your usual blokes. Everyone will be watching Grant, people that have Nofo, the Twal, the Leilures.
And this the Monday game, we've got the Dragons and the Doggies to finish it out. And as we say, just as unwatchable as the Titans and Tigers. So the Dragons will be fuming, well, you'd hope so, coming off the loss that they had against the Warriors. And the Bulldogs weren't much better against Manly. So from a Supercoach point of view, I don't think too many people are going to come Monday and have any players left to go. Possibly a Cam McInnes or someone like that. But beyond that, mate, not really anyone.
No, Cam McInnes is a bit of an interesting one now that you can shift him into the back row too, mate. So if he's going to be playing 80 minutes and making 70 tackles every week because Dragons never got the ball, that's an interesting.
Like we spoke about last week, how you sort of had Lolo and then Matto, and I sort of called Gerbo as the third, first string second rower. This bloke could replace him. I mean, as you say, week in, week out, he's just going to make 70 tackles. So provided he stays injury-free, every now and then he throws in the old try or the attacking stat, he could be a go.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And they've obviously the Dragons have ditched Dufty, so he's the scapegoat. And we'll get to see a young bloke debut at 7 there, and they've chucked Norman at fullback. So that'll give McGregor another week. And once they get rolled, he'll be out the door.
Yeah, exactly. Mate, I think we're going on a bit over an hour now, so let's kick on. I think we've got trading floor next to we, Bogues.
Yep.
Change places! Change places!
All right, Hampton, what do we got?
I don't have Dylan Napper, so I don't know if they're my trades. I'm assuming.
What the fuck?
You said, and I was wondering how the fuck you got. Well, you did say puppy.
Oh, I meant Pappenhausen.
I love it when you call me Big Papa.
Look, I know it seems a bit how you going. I'm looking at. I don't know what else.
I was thinking, fuck, he's pulled some fucking swaps around in his team with dual position to get from fullback to prop.
I've got Royce Hunt.
Hang on, Hampton. How you must have a fair bit of cash in the bank to go Papa to Teddy.
So I had 210 in the bank going into this week.
Yep.
And I'd have to make the Brayley to Grant trade to make it happen.
Right.
And that'd leave me with not much. So I could go Turbo and leave myself an extra 50k in the bank. So I could probably just go straight to Pappen to Turbo.
Yep.
But I just like the Chook Straw a bit better. I'm a huge Turbo fan. It's really hard to split them. But I'm just liking the look of Teddy a little bit more in the draw. They play the Dogs in 2 weeks. Manly got a couple of harder games coming up as well. So I don't think you really go wrong, but that's what I'm looking at. I want to get rid of the Y, but I can't do it. I was going to save that 200k to try and upgrade Williams or the Y to someone like SJ, but that's possibly nothing to rush into now. So I think just get Teddy in and forget about it. And Grant, same thing.
Yeah, fair call. Bit
early on Brayley, but not much else I can do, I don't think.
She's fixed there. Pappenhausen, he makes an appearance.
How good is he?
Oh, mate, look,
good is he?
A bit early on Brayley, but as you say, look, he really hasn't shown much other than being, a speed bump in defence and the occasional attacking stat here. But, yeah, Cronulla haven't been lighting it up, so time will tell with that one. But I think him to Grant, you're just going to benefit from it anyway.
Yeah, and I'll play him in my 17. I had to play Brayley last week. I'll chuck Grant in against the Titans. I could get rid of Ponga and go to Teddy or Turbo, but I just want to keep Ponga. So it was hard trades this week, but that's what I'm leaning towards at the moment.
Yep. Mate, for me, look, I'm dumping the guy I brought in last week very, very late in the piece. I did manage to use all 5 trades last week, and the last trade I did was Fergo to Stags. Obviously, with Stags getting suspended, he's made me 50 or 60k. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to dump him, and I'm going to drop down to Bradman Best. And this is purely a money grab, so that I can jump up to Teddy as well, mate. But I'm not going to dump Pappenhausen. I'm actually going to dump Drinkwater.
Do you want me to transfer to yours, Joshy? Or?
Oh, mate, whenever the fuck you're ready. Jeez. I thought I was going right there. I thought, Bogan will get it eventually. He'll change eventually. But, that's all right, mate. That's all right. We're all a little bit slow on a Tuesday night. I'm done for as well. So Stags to Bradman Best. And we've got Drinkwater to Tedesco. So, look, Drinkwater, he's been solid enough. But obviously, if you can get the likes of Tedesco in, I'd like to have him there. I know a lot of people, obviously, after last week's performance from Turbo, are talking about him. But as you said, mate, Teddy really didn't do much, and he still scored, a ton plus. So I'm waiting for the game where it actually does start to kick off, and I want to make sure that I've got him. I can't get both of Teddy and Turbo in just yet, but hopefully that'll happen in the coming weeks. And mate, I don't want to dump Pappenhausen and have him absolutely burn me. So I'm going to wait. If he throws out a 20 or a 30, then I'll dump him. But if he keeps scoring 50s to 60s, I'm just going to keep him.
Yeah, this one has got potential to burn me hard. I'm not looking forward to the next few weeks watching little Pappy. Not big Pappy.
Yeah, fellas, just quickly, my phone's blowing up because I got a couple of colleagues from work watching the show, and they'd like me to give them a shout out. So I'd just like to say to the old lady and the Asian, get fucked. You're not getting a shout out. Sorry, guys. Continue.
That sounds like a good corner. Are we on Pornhub.com?
Well, there you go. You're copping a bit of flack in the chat about your trades, Joshy. Staggs a keeper centre winger, and the Brisbane have got a good run, and Staggs gets back. Are you going to try getting back in, or are you done? Done on Staggs?
No, I'm done. Yeah, I'm done, mate. For me, he was just a cash grab. Look, he was in sort of the top 10 there we had at the start of the season with potential. I wasn't sold on him after the first 2 rounds. I know he obviously had a cracker of a game that second round. And don't get me wrong, there'll be the games where he scores 70 or 80 or maybe even tons up. But I'm just, I'll go in a different direction with my centre wingers at this stage.
Fair call. I reckon we've both got the potential to get massively burned with a few of the... Oh, well, I've got rid of Pappen. You've got Staggs and Drinky. So we're going to get some burns out of those, I reckon, at some point.
Yeah. But like you say, mate, I think this week I've gone best so that I can get to Tedesco. And next week, I think for me, Brayley to Grant will be definitely on the cards next week.
Yeah, I reckon anyone not running Appy and Cook, if anyone's got Brayley, I think, Grant next week, assuming he doesn't get injured. That's the other risk by going to a Bradman Best or a Harry Grant this week is, if one of the buggers gets injured, you'll be dark.
I tell you what, mate, I don't know what's the reverse, what's the opposite of a crystal ball? Fuck, let's go back in time 3 months.
Reverse foresight, as in hindsight.
Hindsight. Let's go look in hindsight 3 months.
The revision mirror.
And Blake Brayley being owned by about 65% of people. Weren't we all fucking wrong?
Oh, I want to say, I think I called that he could have a bit of trap.
You did.
Him.
Yeah, you did.
He hasn't been as bad as he thought, but he definitely hasn't done as well as expected. But he just, and especially now that Connor Tracy's finding his way on the bench, Magoulas is finding his way on the bench. He's just not as I don't know. I think it's just going to take him another year or two before he gets to be really effective.
It's really, I guess, from a Cronulla point of view, so much talk for the last 2 seasons about he's so much better than Jaden Brayley. I haven't seen it whatsoever. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely, obviously, even if his mates was Jerry, you don't have to worry about him being on the roads, that's for sure.
Oh, mate, there's nothing to him. He's all bones. Yeah. What else we got next, Bogan?
All right, so we're on to the leagues. First up is the Player of the Week from the BJ and GameDay group. And it's a Mosa with, I don't know how to pronounce it, TGZE. And last week he scored 1,400 odd points.
Very well done. 1,400.
Not small.
No, that's huge.
Well done, TGZE.
I think 1,500 or so was the top scorer of the week, so not too far off that. Must have definitely had Turbo as captain.
That's large.
And then we move on to the BJ and GameDay group. This is the top 10 at the moment. So, fuck you all, which I gave a shout out to a bit earlier.
Cracker.
Sitting in sixth position overall. So it's nice to have someone in the BJ and GameDay group up there in the running. We've got a few though. Wayno with Hell's Grannies. He had a big round this week, and he's up to 113th. So he's within striking distance.
Wayno definitely knows what he's doing.
Yep, and the whole top 10 is within the top 1,000.
Very
good stuff. Well done. Number 6, geez.
Michael, number 6.
What did the Snags finish? 50?
I tell you what, Michael.
50?
Michael, you better turn off the fucking show now, because if you listen to us too much, you're going to go backwards. Very nice. But yeah, I think Charlie White, he ended up finishing about 35th or 36th, something like that, or Maybe that he got as high as 7th. I'm pretty sure. At one stage during the season, he was high as 7th. Yeah.
Yeah, right. No, that's large. Anyone top 1,000 this stage as well is doing real well. So good stuff. Everyone pumping it out there.
Absolutely. What do we got next, folks?
The league? So the first league is the All-In League.
All-In League.
So we got Cleary Dally-M. He top scored for the week in that league with 1,414 points. Which might...
Bogan, how do you make it on the front page? What the fuck's going on here?
What? I was in the top 10 scorers for the week.
That's in order of scores, right. Gotcha.
Scores for the week.
Got not overall. Fair enough.
Well, the overall's there if you want to fucking figure it out. But
yeah, that's cool.
Right. Michael with paycheck. It's a good week for Michael's. He's sitting in number 1 in that league.
Very nice. All right, here we go next.
The next league is the BJ and GameDay version 2 league. And Shano, the fucking shoe drinker himself. He topped that with the round. With
Shano with his version number 2 song.
Yeah, I did.
We better not say that's too loud on camera.
Oh no, I will say because I'm thinking Shano. Like, I don't think Tyson is in any of the leagues. So pick a league which is yours, and pick a league which is Tyson's. And if you win the one which is Tyson goes into, is he?
Yeah, he's in one of the leagues.
Okay, because we set up the multiple leagues so more people could have a crack. And Shano's in 2 of them.
Shano's our superstar this season. He's taken over Big Ted's role.
Oh, poor old Big Ted. He's working himself to death by the sounds of things.
He's working too much, the old fella. And then we've got the main league, mate. Who's number 1 in that?
Yeah, I'll just bring that up.
With Wayno for sure.
Yeah, it is Wayno.
Oh, it'd have to be Wayno, yeah.
Wayno and Kando's Crushers.
Shout out to Kando. Brought in Teddy this week, so he's running Teddy and Turbo, the bastard. That paid off big time. Absolutely. He's already got them both in.
He's set.
And there's Charlie with the bunny snags there down in 8th for the week.
He's struggling this season, but he was slow starter last year and he just flew through the rest. So no doubt he can pick it up. We've got the games for next week, mate, in the draft.
So the draft results for last week. So my boys absolutely fucking whooped Brent. 924 to 651. Kando's Crushers got up over Mana with Checkmate. Hell's Grannies beat Marty's team. Bundy's Bastards just got up over Big Ted. Geez, that must have been on the fucking... Ted must have lost points on the review because when I was checking that on Sunday, I thought I'm sure that he was ahead.
Yeah.
And you, Joshy, gave Big Ginge a bit of a touch up.
Yes. There. Beauty.
Fuck, I wish I played Marty this week. Fuck,
516. He's the only bloke you would have beat, mate.
Hell's Granny's got the second lowest score in the fucking thing. Oh, sorry, third lowest apart from me, and he's fucking playing Marty.
Sick. See, that's how the draw. We all know.
And, that's the ladder at the moment. I'm sitting on top as only undefeated with a points differential of 570 points. And then it's Big Ted and Kando.
Hampton, there's something wrong with that fucking picture.
You reckon it should be the other way around? You'd still be sitting in the middle.
What happened? No, I'm fine with that. What happened in the off season that you went from not being able to play this game to being able to fucking be first?
Mate,
and it's not like you did it easy. Like you scored 950 odd points with no captain.
Here's the thing, Joshy, and you know me after a few back and forths last year. I don't play a points game. I play head to head. So
yeah.
And there was a few games last season where I'd swap a player out if it was a chance of beating the team I was up against rather than going for the big score. And yeah, I've just fucking fluked it, to be fair, and I don't want to jinx myself, but I've got a fucking good team in draft.
There you go. Fair enough.
Premierships aren't won in June or May.
No, that's right.
Shut your mouth.
Well, no.
Mate, this year,
I'm
who the fuck
They
knows
are.
when they won?
I'm not
They won
fucking
in
bragging
fucking
yet because
November
a few injuries in draft and you're fucked.
Yeah.
But I'm quite happy with my team, and I'm only looking to make one change, and that's it.
There you go.
And I will just say, shout out to whoever's in the league. Reasonable offers only, please. I'm sick of these fucking shit deals that people are putting to me. You know, I just I'm 300 odd points ahead in the for and against, undefeated. I'm not swapping one of my forwards for Josh Dugan.
You didn't you pick Dugan up in the draft?
I did, but I fucked him off because I've picked a good team.
Look at this. He's on his high horse now. He thinks he's all king shit because he's won 3 out of 3.
Take a photo, keep this screenshot because it's not.
It ain't going to stay that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only way's down, Bogan.
No,
the only way's down,
mate. I'm happy with my team, barring any fucking injuries.
The only cup you'll win this year is the Lisa Narmau Cup, mate. It's fucking breaking down.
It's coming last again. The losers bracket.
All right, what's next? We got the draw for next week.
Draw for next week. Yep. Hold on. I'm just sorry. I just gotta get rid of some windows. Draw for next week is Breno up against Kane.
Ooh,
I'm
up
against Hell's Grannies. Bundy's Bustards versus Mana's
Against
Checkmate.
Mana.
Big Ginge versus Marty's team. So,
man, Teddy.
Yeah, bit of a battle there. And, Josh versus Ted.
Looking forward to it. Me and Teddy. I better actually look at my team this week and see who's injured. I can't lose to Teddy.
I think you're in a bit of trouble with Teddy.
Yeah, I started off the season, with all these blokes I thought were going to come back, like the Batemans and the Tavangas, and they haven't come back yet. So it'll be interesting, but I'll work it out. We'll be able to pick a good team from the free waivers.
So anyway, just a reminder for anyone that hasn't joined the BJ on GameDay Supercoach group, 218-667. We're at about 260 odd people.
Guys, make sure you jump on the Facebook page as well and follow that Facebook page, BJ on GameDay, because we're putting a little bit more content up on there. And peas and carrots. We're going to protect the peas and carrots and all the latest updates on there as well.
Are you going to capture footage for next week's intro of peas and carrots?
Well, I'll be able to get you footage, yeah. So basically, anyone out there who follows the doggies, we can't put what's up on Sky Channel, but there are sites that have all the replays. So hopefully we can get one of those out there. And we'll put the old replay up on Saturday night. We'll put it up when we do the show on the Tuesday or the Wednesday night.
And just quickly, we got Mud Crab asking about whether you get rid of Tafua or Wang Blake. Get off Tafua.
Yeah, hold on. Let's just go through the chat and see if
that's the main one. I think he's asked a couple of times, Mud Crab. So I think the numbers will say keep Tafua because of his BE and his price. But the fact he scored 13 points and 12 points in the first 2 rounds, followed by 70, get rid of him.
Benny Gorman in the chat says, give Bogan the prize now, fellas. So that $20 jacket that you were going to buy off the internet, Brent, you may as well just send it straight to my house.
$20? Fucking yeah, and you can shove your design up your ass then. I'll sort it out.
Let's see, what else have we got?
Yeah, look, I'd probably... Shano actually wrote in the chat after that, Blake or Tafua, he just says both. I'd agree. Wanga doesn't look good enough, and Tafua, well, it's always a question of when he gets injured. So I'd be leaving both alone. Obviously, if you've got both, you've just got to figure out how to get rid of both eventually.
Yeah.
Shane Foote reckons the Storm will win by 20 points to get on that with the bookies, obviously. Gamble responsibly. I don't know about that. I am interested to see how the Storm will go the second week with this increased speed in the ruck.
I think you're also a South supporter. That'll have something to do with it, wouldn't it?
I was going to say I don't really have any problem with winning by 20.
As a South supporter, mate, there's been many a year where they've been fucking shit. It's only been in modern history that they've done all right. I still am. I don't know. I'm revising my prediction about the Storm because I think this sped up ruck is going to hurt them all season because they won't be able to slow the play down.
Well, it could be.
So Klim Studios has just come through with a comment. Thoughts on a Stags to Nofo swap? Yeah, why not? Why not? Stags have made you a little bit of cash. You're not going to get any advantage out of him this week. The Tigers up against the Titans this week. Nofo could score 2 or 3. Even if he doesn't score a try, he's still going to be active enough to put probably 60 points up. So, yeah, I'm fine with that, Climmy.
I'm just going through quickly to see if there's anything that stands out.
Same with is it Ben's as well. I'd be Nofos. They play the Titans, Dogs, 2 of the next 4 weeks. So,
how do you get Knight to Katoa? Oh, Elisa Katoa.
Yeah,
there's too many Katoas. Can we get a ban on these amount of Katoa names? Yeah, mate. Nice to Katoa. You got to, that's as good as any other trade out there in the back row. You're going to make money, and it seems that the kid Katoa has more potential than Knight anyway. And yeah.
Well, sorry guys if I missed anyone's question. I probably did because I was flicking through pretty fast. But leave a comment and we'll try and get on.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Too easy. All right, guys.
You want to wrap it up?
Yeah, that's about it. You just did.
Oh.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you all next week.
Cheers, guys.
Hey, guys. Joshy here. Thanks very much for joining us for another episode of BJ on Game Day. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell on YouTube for all your notifications. If you do want to follow us on Facebook, you can find us there at BJ on Game Day. And on Twitter, we're at BJ on Game Day as well. So, guys, we'd really like your support with that. Follow us so we can know you guys are enjoying the content. Thanks very much.